it started to look more and more like Ben Simmons wasn't going to play. You figured he was going to play towards the end of the regular season. He never did. Then you figured, he might be back for the postseason, start game one against the Celtics, or at least coming off the bench. And he wasn't. And then all of a sudden the report surfaced, I think after game one, that he was going to come back game four in Brooklyn. And I was like, okay, weird. He's going to, if the Celtics win all 3 games, which they now have, he will maybe play 1 or 2 games. Because even with Ben Simmons, you're not going to beat the Celtics 4 times in a row. He might only play 1 game if he comes back for game 4. So he might go out there for like 10 or 15 minutes and be, not much of use, and the Nets lose and they go home. So it was kind of strange to see that report coming out. But I was like, you know what? I get it, I guess. If their season's on the line and you got this all-star just sitting there, just watching, then I guess, throw him out there, see what happens. You got nothing else to lose. That's kind of how I looked at it anyway. And then last night happened. And it wasn't really a close game, even though the difference was only 6. The Celtics were in control the entire night. Anybody who watched the game will probably tell you that. Barring the first 5 or 6 minutes of the game where Brooklyn got out to a hot-ish start. I think they were up 13-5 at some point or something like that. It was pretty much all Celtics, pretty much all night. So I think when I saw that, I said, all right, here's what's going to happen. Ben Simmons ain't playing in game 4. It's just not happening because Ben Simmons, let's be honest with ourselves, Ben Simmons does not give a rip about the Nets. He does not give a rip about his teammates, and he does not give a rip about the game of basketball, which is really sad because he's a really talented, physically gifted player. How many times in your lifetime, anybody watching, have you seen a point guard, a legitimate point guard with some of the best handles in the NBA, and a fantastic, phenomenal playmaker be 6'10", 220 pounds? How many times have you seen that? LeBron James isn't 6'10". Giannis is 6'10", but, is he a point guard? Not really. He can handle the ball, and he can run the offense, but he's not a true point guard. Magic Johnson was 6'9", but he wasn't 220 pounds. He wasn't an absolute just freight train. And even LeBron James. I think I might have already mentioned LeBron James, but 6'8". He's not 6'10". He's a freight train, but he's not 6'10". Ben Simmons is a very unique physical specimen. And he always has been, which is why he went number 1 overall. Because, my God, if he can improve his shooting, forget it. He's a fantastic defender. He's a fantastic playmaker. He's already putting up 16, 18 points a night without being able to shoot more than 10 feet away from the basket. Imagine if he could develop a shot. Woo! He'd be one of the best players in the NBA, if not the best player in the NBA. But the problem is, he doesn't care about basketball. He never has cared about basketball. He just cares about himself. And anybody who disagrees with that, I don't know what sport or what guy you're watching, but he quit on his LSU teammates when they were, going into the what is the name of the tournament? The other tournament, not the NCAA tournament, but the other tournament. And he was like, oh, it's not the NCAA tournament, so I'm out. And he just dipped. And then he quit on the 76ers and got traded. And he hasn't even shown up for the Nets. He doesn't care about basketball. And I saw a tweet. I don't know who tweeted this, but you're a champ, whoever tweeted it. He said that Ben Simmons has to be the worst human being in the world. He's sitting on the bench watching his teammates fight for his life while he's sitting there dressed like a bag of Skittles. Anybody go look, if you haven't seen it, go look up what Ben Simmons was dressed in last night. He looked like a bag of Skittles. He really did. I didn't know how to describe it to my wife when I told her what he looked like on the bench until I saw that tweet, and I was like, yep, that is it. He looks like a bowl of Fruity Pebbles. He looks like a bowl of Skittles. He looks like a bowl of Starbursts that are still in the wrapper. It's just he looked ridiculous. And he's just sitting there, just chilling, like, oh, this is cool. I'm awesome. I'm Ben Simmons, blah. But, man, like, it's just so sad. And I'm sitting there thinking, he ain't going to play. He ain't going to play in Game 4. And again, I hate when I'm right. But, of course, about, hour and a half ago, 2 hours, whatever it's been at this point, report comes out from Woj that Ben Simmons has been ruled out for Game 4 because apparently he woke up this morning and had some back pain and back soreness from a workout yesterday, and so he's not going to play on Monday. Right. Now, this is a wholesome channel, I like to think, so I'm not going to curse. I'm not going to say what I really think about this, but it is a bunch of baloney. It is a bunch of bullcrap. It is a bunch of bullshivik. That's what it is. It is bullshivik. Didn't curse. Bullshivik. Okay? Just want you to make sure that you know that I didn't curse, but it is a bunch of bullcrap. It really, really is. You really think that he woke up this morning with back pain? You know what? Maybe he did, but really, dude, like, your team's season is on the line. You're down 3-0. Kyrie Irving might walk next year, which, again, we'll get into that in a minute. But Kyrie Irving might walk at the end of the season. And then you're the guy. You're the point guard. You might want to show up for your teammates here, man, even if you do have to play through pain a little bit. Your old teammate, Joel Embiid, has torn ligaments all throughout his hand. On his shooting hand, on the hand that he needs to be a human. And he's still playing because you know why? He is a leader. He knows his role. He knows his team needs him. Now, I don't know how bad Ben Simmons' back pain is. I've had back pain. I'm still dealing with back pain. It sucks. Some days you can't walk. But, I mean, at a certain point, you got to sit there and go, yeah, I'm in some pain, but, maybe I can go out there for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, figure something out, be a decoy, anything. Your team's season's on the line. Do something. If something goes wrong and you're in pain, then they can take you out. You at least did something. You at least tried. You at least tried to do something. You at least showed up for your teammates. And then you have 6 months of an off season to work it out and to, God forbid if you end up needing surgery, you can get surgery, although we hope that wouldn't happen. But you can rest. You can, rehab. You can do therapy. You can do all that stuff. You got 6 months to do it in the off season. Show up. Show up. And he's not going to show up. He's refusing to play because he doesn't care about anything but himself. And it's really, really frustrating for the Nets. I mean, it has to be. And I mean, I'm sitting here as a Celtics fan laughing my head off because I'm sitting here thinking, any Nets fan who thought that this series was going to be interesting because Ben Simmons is going to come back, I feel so bad for you. I really do. Like, this isn't me, like, being cocky like, oh, I feel bad for you. No, I genuinely do feel bad because if I had a player as talented as Ben Simmons on my team, of course I'd want him to play. Even if he can't play offense. Even if he's literally just shoved in a corner on offense, and every time he gets the ball, he just gets it and passes it away. And all he does is play defense. Even if that's all he does, I'd still take it if I'm the Nets. You at least need somebody who can defend. You don't play defense. The Nets don't play defense. I'm getting riled up, but it's just so frustrating to see a guy with so much talent. Like, you sit there and you go, my God, I love basketball. I love going out there. I'd dive into the stands. I'd get elbowed in the face. I'd go after a jump ball and I'd flip over people and I'd land on my tailbone and I'd get up and I'd scream and I'd love it. Like, I love that kind of stuff. And to see a guy with that much talent doesn't even want to get on the floor, it makes me angry because I wish God had given me that talent. I wish God had given me the ability to be 6'10" and to dunk and to see everything on the court and to be that good because, my God, what I would be if I had that kind of talent, it's just so frustrating. And I'm sure there's millions of people out there that feel the exact same way. That, my God, if I had the chance to play in the NBA, I don't care what I have to do. Because think about this. Think about it this way. Ben Simmons, right now, I think is 25, 24, something like that. He's not that old. He's young. Every athlete knows that you have a clock that you're going to play. Some guys play until they're 27. Some guys play until they're 47. Some guys play till they're 31, and then they're never the same, and then they're out of the NBA. Ben Simmons has wasted an entire year of his career sitting there. Just sitting there. Now, you could say, well, Tyler, he's been injured, so, you can't really blame him for being injured. Okay. So you're telling me that from last year's playoffs, so a year ago, to now, he has been injured the whole time? His back has been that bad the whole time. The entire year. It's possible, but I don't think so, because how this whole thing started was Ben Simmons was thrown around in trade talks, and he decided that he wasn't going to show up to training camp because he wasn't mentally ready to play for the 76ers. And then when he got to the Nets, now all of a sudden I started hearing things about his back. Maybe it was there the whole time. Maybe that was what was going on. But you know what? I think it's just a bunch of malarkey. I really do. I think it's a bunch of malarkey. And, he might have had a back injury at some point. I'm sure, maybe he probably has. But I think he could have played. I really do. I think he could have played, and he's choosing not to because he's selfish and he doesn't care about anything but himself. And if that's the case, that's really sad. It's really, really sad because he got paid $25-30 million to sit there and do absolutely nothing. Now, I'm not sure he actually got paid this year, but it is really, really sad. And now something else that's also really, really sad is, and again, it's also the Nets, which, poor Nets fans, I'm so sorry. But I think that this series has really showcased the selfishness of Kyrie Irving. And, as a former Celtics player, I saw him up close, and I watched a lot of his games. And I watched a lot of his games before, but I didn't have really any stake in his performance. I wanted him to perform well because he's a great player, and I like to watch good basketball, and he's a wizard with the basketball. So I love to watch Kyrie Irving when he's at his best. But what I saw in Boston was a guy who blamed everybody else for all of his problems, didn't take responsibility for his actions, and when it came down to it in the playoffs, he played terrible because he didn't want to be there. He told the Celtics fans at the beginning of the year he was going to stay there and he was going to love to stay there, and as soon as the going got tough, he got out of there so fast because he wanted to play with Kevin Durant. And, that's a weasel move. It really is just a weasel move. And, he can sit there and he can make crying faces all he wants, and he can flick people off behind his head all he wants, and he can give the bird to the fans all he wants. That's great. But after game 1 of this series, in games 2 and 3, he has averaged 13 points a night. That is just not good enough. Now you're sitting there thinking, well, yeah, but the Celtics, their defense is fantastic. They're shutting down KD too. Yeah, they are shutting down KD, but at least KD put up 27 in game 2. I think people forget that. Everybody says KD played so bad, and he did, but he still scored 27 points. He still did something of worth in that game. Kyrie Irving scored 10 points. Last night, he played a little bit better. He had 16 points, 9 assists. He played better. Not good enough. Not good enough. You sit there and you think about this. Kyrie Irving is averaging 26 points a night this year. Okay? He scored 16 points last night. Nets lost by 6. Kyrie Irving scores his season average. The Nets win that game. They do. Nets win that game if he scores his season average. But, again, you can make the argument Celtics defense is smothering. All right, but here is what I will say to that. I'm a very religious person. I'm a very devout Christian. For those of you who do not know that, I do want to say that. I am a very devout Christian. I do apologize if that offends you or if that changes your opinion of me, but I don't really care. That's just what I believe. That is the most important thing in my life. And so I do understand, wanting to uphold your religious values, and I'm not going to be here and looking down upon anybody's religious choices. But For those of you who don't know, Kyrie Irving is going through Ramadan right now, and he is fasting. So he is, when his team needs him the most, not 100%. And it's not that he's injured, because he's not. It's not that he doesn't have fresh legs, because he does, because he only played half the games this year because he wasn't vaccinated. But he is literally choosing to not eat, despite the fact that he has to play basketball, so he will not have nearly as much energy as he should every night. And he's choosing to do that in the middle of the playoffs. Now, again, I understand the religious aspect of it. You know, you don't have a choice of when Ramadan is. That's your religious belief. You have to do it. I get that. I do. But it's Kyrie Irving. And so for me, it just doesn't look good because it's always something with him. Stephen A. said this a couple of mornings ago, I think on First Take or NBA Countdown, something like that. It just always seems to be something with Kyrie Irving that's going on. You know, what happened in Boston. He wants to get out of Cleveland. He wants to get out of Boston. He doesn't want to get vaccinated. Now he's fasting during the playoffs. Like, there's always something going on. And then the icing on the cake was just last night during... I can't even believe I'm going to say this. During his post-game conference. Now, he didn't say the exact words that were reported. You know, the media blew it up a little bit. But he said that the team just hasn't been able to gel this season. And normally, a team can gel throughout the season. And the Celtics have been gelling since Christmas. But the Nets just haven't been able to gel and come together. Now, why would that be? Well, maybe it's because you, Kyrie Irving, decided that you were not going to get vaccinated, which meant that you were not going to be available for automatically half of the games this year. And you're lucky that you stayed healthy when you did play. Because guess what? If you played on the road in Boston and you broke your ankle, now Kyrie Irving's only going to be available for like 15 games this year instead of the possible 40 that he might have played or the possible 30. Whatever the case is, that's on you. Kyrie Irving, that's on you. You are the reason that this team did not gel. You are the reason James Harden walked out the door. You are the reason that the Nets were the 7th seed this year, and you are the reason why you are one game away from being bounced in the first round, and yet you are probably going to opt out of your contract, and you're going to go get paid $45 million by some poor team who's willing to take a chance and think that they're going to change you. Well, I hate to say it, NBA, Sacramento, Atlanta, probably not Atlanta, Orlando, anybody who thinks that if you sign Kyrie Irving, you're going to get Kyrie Irving. Oh, you're going to get Kyrie freaking Irving, all right. You're going to get a diva who cares only about himself, doesn't care about anything else, is not accountable for his mistakes, blames everybody else for all of his mistakes, and just does not see that he's the problem. He doesn't see that he's the problem. Kyrie Irving has come up with more excuses to not play games than Ben Simmons. And Ben Simmons, as we just discussed, is literally conjuring up stuff out of nowhere. It's ridiculous what's going on with that, but Kyrie Irving is worse. Yes, early in his career injuries, that does not count. But last year, I don't know if people remember this, he just disappeared for like 2 weeks. He was just gone. He was just like, I got stuff to worry about, I'm just going to dip. I'm just going to leave. Like, he just left the Nets for like 2 weeks, and everybody was like, we don't know where Kyrie is. And Kevin Durant was like, I don't know where Kyrie is, but I hope he comes back soon because we kind of need him. And he was just gone for like 2 weeks. He's like, I got personal matters to deal with. What do you mean you got personal matters to deal with? I don't understand. Are you mourning over the fact that you finally figured out the earth is round? Like, what is going on? Okay. And I want to say this. I think I've said this before on the channel, but just in case I haven't. I fully believe in your freedom to choose what you do with your vaccine status. If you have done your research and you don't feel comfortable getting the vaccine because of underlying conditions or because of other reasons, fine. I'm not vaccinated. I'll tell you that right now. I am not vaccinated. And I chose to not get vaccinated, and I have had COVID, and it hit me really hard, and I still didn't get vaccinated. Because that's my choice. Now, you can say that that's the right or wrong choice all you want. That's totally fine. I understand if anybody thinks that's the wrong choice. I'm still debating whether that is a correct choice or not, or whether I'm going to get vaccinated later on in life or not. I don't know. But for me, given my health, given my age, and given the fact that I don't have any elderly relatives, I felt like it wasn't the best choice for me. So I completely understand the idea of not wanting to get vaccinated. But let me tell you when I would have gotten vaccinated if I was getting paid $35 million to have a whole bunch of other people rely on me to be available. If I were to have a job right now that required me to get vaccinated and they were paying me enough money and it was a good enough opportunity, I'd get that thing stuck in my arm so quickly you wouldn't believe it. It's just circumstances in my life have allowed me to not have it. So I don't want to take the risks that the vaccine presents. Because I don't have to take the risks that the vaccine presents, because there's nothing in my life that says I do. But Kyrie Irving? If I was in Kyrie Irving's shoes, I'd have gotten vaccinated like that. I'll tell you that for free. I'd have gotten vaccinated like that. Because in the NBA or in any sport, you have other people that rely on you. You have general managers, owners, coaches, players, fans, family of players. They all rely on you to be there. If you're somebody of Kyrie Irving's caliber of player, people count on you to be available for them. And Kyrie Irving chose to not do that. And again, he has every right to choose that. But then the gall to sit there and say that that team has not been able to gel, so that's why they're losing? Really? That is on you, Kyrie. If you're going to say that, say and follow it up with, and that's on me. I thought he was going to. I watched the interview, and he said, and now you can blame me. And I was like, oh my God, he's actually going to take accountability for not getting vaccinated. He said, for not playing as well this series. Oh, Kyrie, you had it. You had it. Just, come on, dude. Take some accountability. Not just for how you've played this series, but for what you have done to this team since the second you put that uniform on. Since the second you signed that contract, you have thrown the Brooklyn Nets into turmoil. And I feel terrible for this fan base. I feel terrible for it. Because in 2012 or 2013, whatever it was, the Nets traded $1 billion draft picks to the Celtics and didn't have any first-round picks for years and years. They had no talent. They had a terrible team. And then, just when they get their draft picks back, they traded all of them again to get James Harden, and guess who ran him out of town? Kyrie Irving ran him out of town. It wasn't Steve Nash. It wasn't Kevin Durant not being available because he was injured. It was Kyrie Irving that drove James Harden out of Brooklyn. And now all you got back for him was 1 or 2 first-round picks. So you just lost a net loss of James Harden and 6 first-round picks for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, and Andre Drummond. Seth Curry and Andre Drummond, great players, not worth 6 first-round picks. No. And the fact that Kyrie Irving can sit up there and still think that this is not on him infuriates me. If you can't tell by the yelling, it infuriates me that he could sit up there and give excuse after excuse after excuse for everything that he has put this team through. I hope to God, for the Nets' sake, that he opts into his contract. You know why? Because at least the Nets can trade him for something. If he leaves that franchise and leaves Kevin Durant to sit in that muck of a franchise, and it's not their fault. It's not their fault that they're going to be a muck of a franchise. It's on Kyrie. And if Kevin Durant has to sit there until 2026 in that franchise because Kyrie convinced him to go to Brooklyn and then he dipped out as soon as it got hard, oh my Lord, there is going to be a media frenzy. And quite frankly, Kyrie, if there's more important things to you in life than basketball, stop playing basketball. Stop ruining franchises. As soon as the going got a little tiny bit tough in Cleveland, you dipped out. You said, I'm out, I'm done, I can't take this anymore. As soon as you underperformed in Boston, I'm out, I gotta get out of here. And now you're probably gonna do the same thing in Brooklyn. As soon as the going got tough, as soon as things got hard, you just ruined that franchise and you dipped. Now, you haven't dipped yet, so I guess I can't say you're gonna. But you're gonna, aren't you? You're gonna, aren't you? It just makes me sick. It's so sad. Hey guys, me again. Thank you so much for watching one of my clips from the Lopes Goes Last podcast. These clips are so much fun to do. I absolutely love making them, and I absolutely love doing them. And this podcast is my baby, so I really want this thing to grow, and I really want it to succeed. So if you did like what you see, please subscribe. Also hit that bell notification so you never miss any one of my episodes or one of my clips like this one. And please do also like and share these videos with your friends and your family so that we can make this thing grow as fast as possible. And I wanted to thank you again so much. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video and have a great rest of your day.